Hello again, Bill St. George, as if you didn't know, especially with the new do. Anyway, welcome to another impression show, part two of the Jack Nicholson portrait painting session. Anyway, we're starting to develop him a little bit more now with some various tones. I'm not going to give up on all these yet, and maybe his head is, I don't know, maybe it is too big, who knows. Anyway, get over it, will you? Stop being such a babies out there. Anyway, just kidding. Anyway, I don't know if I ever told you this story before, but it was about one time when I was out on painting on the street. Maybe I said it already, I don't know. If I did, stop me. But and there was this guy, maybe I already told it. Yeah, I don't think I want to tell that one. But there was another one. There was this lady that was, she hung around on Newbury Street. She was very small, kind of tiny, to say the least. And I was painting over near Joe's American Bar and Grill. And it was winter, but it was one of those days that, you know, it was the snow was thawing, and there were a ton of people out there, and I went out and decided I was going to paint. And I was coming along pretty well, you know, and I noticed this lady was kind of circling the wagons. And she came over while I was painting, and she looks at the painting and she goes, "You're not a painter," because it was kind of messy, you know. She says, "I'm a painter." And I noticed she was wearing a beret that indicated to me that she must be a painter. That's like seeing a guy with a scalpel, you know, he's got a white jacket. Unbeknownst to everybody, he's crazy, but he calls himself a brain surgeon. Well, anyway, she says, "You're not a painter. I'm a painter." And there was like everybody around me. I had this big crowd, and they all went, "Ooh." And they thought we're going to start a fight or something. And I just broke out laughing. I couldn't stop laughing because it was so funny, you know. She was so blatant about it. And so, anyway, I haven't seen her around for a while. Yeah. And then there was another time I was at, I'm using some green in here to go over this red. Anyway, there was another time I was painting. I was doing the Episcopal Church down on just behind the Ritz. A beautiful little church. And I've been told that they only pay homage to one saint. And you go in the church. I've never been inside, but people come out and say it's St. George. That's the only one. So, I mean, that's just kind of a sidebar. But I was painting from the other side of the street, you know, looking at the church. And it was freezing cold. So, you know, the sun goes over the building and the shade, and it got worse. So I had to stop and take a break just to go over on the church side to thaw out. And when I was over there, I looked back, and my painting was there all by itself, you know, with the easel and the whole bit, nobody there. And this woman walks, and they're not all women that do this to me, you know, to my paintings, so I don't want to sound like I'm discriminating against anybody, but, you know, but she looks at my painting, right? And she looks, and she steps back, and she looks again, and she goes over to my easel, and she takes her finger and goes, you know, into I think it was like cadmium red light, you know, big blob of it. And she walks around to the back of the painting and touches it and puts her mark on it. She wanted so much to be part of this. I found it really kind of unusual. But then again, not so. You know, it's like kids that, graffiti artists, or people that just want to tag something because they want some sign of, I don't know, get philosophical, but immortality. So anyway, I had this painting, and I ended up selling it to somebody. I don't know who, but complete with her mark on it. Then there was another story. I don't tell you too many stories, but why not? I'm in a talkative mood, which is unusual in and of itself. I was painting over, and I think it was Easter, you know. I was supposed to be going to church. Instead, I said, hey, I'm going to go over and paint a church instead. So I came in town, and I was doing this painting. Yeah, it was a Saturday. I was doing this painting of the Trinity Church, which is really quite beautiful. You know what that is. Everybody that's been to Boston knows the Trinity Church. And it's an icon in the city. So anyway, I'm painting it, and I had this kind of contingency of people who imbibe a little too much, you know. And there was one of them. Well, she was oops, here we go. It was another woman. But anyway, she was an Indian. I found out later she was I don't know what tribe she was in, but she was heavily into drinking. Anyway, she was pretty lucid. She started talking to me about her, you know, whatever, background and stuff. I feel like a father confessor, you know, when I'm out painting, because I'm trapped. I can't get away from these people, you know. So they kind of take advantage of the fact that I'm there, and they're gonna tell me all their sins and all the juicy stuff, which I don't want to hear. But anyway, she was just rambling on, and I'm doing this huge painting. I mean, it was probably a 30 by 40, or maybe even 36 by 48. You know, 3 feet by 4 feet. Anyway, make the story short, wind it up, Bill. You know. Anyway, next day I came back, and that was what it was. It was Easter Sunday. Of course, my wife was very happy that I decided to paint instead of going to church. But anyway, I figured, hey, it's close enough for me. I'm painting in church. Get it? She didn't see the humor in that anyway. So I went back, and on the stairs, you know, I had to be on the stairs in front of the, what the heck was it? Yeah, I was painting from the Boston Public Library, looking over towards the church, the Trinity Church. And lo and behold, there's this Indian woman again. But this time, oh, I know what it was. The day before, I said, you stand over there, and I'm going to paint you into the painting. And she's only like that tall in the painting. I could barely make her out, and to a few other people. And she was so happy, because she was sober and she remembered. So anyway, she comes over to me. I said, oh no, here we go again. She brings her friends over this time. And a couple of guys come over with her, and she says, you know, I'm in this painting. And didn't you pay me in the painting? And I says, yes, I did. And she says, well, I want to show my friends. And I says, and she goes like this. She goes on the painting. She says, here I am right here. And she goes, she wiped herself right out of the painting. And I thought, oh, jeez. She didn't even know it, you know. She's just kind of pointed at a blob of paint, and that was her, you know. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff that happened out in the street. That's just one of the stories, and that's enough for now. Anyway, I was just gonna say something about try to get everything crammed into one, and that way I'll stay away from this. And hey, I kind of hate those eyes. They look so evil. I'll do what that woman did. Yeah, it looks better already. That's probably what she was doing. I made her look bad. Anyway, Paul Cézanne. I'm going to ruin this book, but that's okay. Familiar with his work. I'll just show you a couple. Oh, God, I could paint all over it. How unusual, paint on an artist's book. But can you see that okay, Lou? If one were to look at his paintings and not have an appreciation for what he was trying to do, a lot of his work looks almost, I wouldn't say amateurish, but kind of, raw. And what he was trying to do was flatten the foreground and the background. He didn't try to have a sense of great distance. He achieved the distance not through fooling the eye, but by overlapping. Anyway, so what they say about Paul is he was actually born to he had a pretty secure life. His father was pretty wealthy. He tried to go to art school, and he didn't make it. So he ended up going to law school. Ended up working for his father as a lawyer for a while. Or bank. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm thinking of somebody else. Yeah, he studied at the XAIX School of Design. That's the city he was in. He studied at the X School of Design at the same time, satisfying his father by studying law. That's what it was. His father had a banking firm, and he worked, and he said he was unhappy, so he went to Paris, met Pissarro, who was another impressionist, one of the greatest, I feel, but that's just me. And he exhibited at a 1874 Impressionist exhibit. Let's see, here's the key, he created flatness of the picture plane. Flatness and spatiality at the same time, a crucial step in the development of abstract art. So if you want to impress your friends out there and you're talking art, hey, listen to this. And you'll immediately put them to sleep. But anyway, it's something to know. I mean, there's a link between abstract art and Paul Cézanne. Cézanne's work was a link between Impressionism and abstraction. He painted in Paris. He was in a show there. He's never comfortable. He returned to X. And here's a way to go if you're going to go. In the fall of 1906, he was overtaken by a storm while out painting, became ill, and died. I mean, if you're going to go painting, I don't mean it in that way, but I mean buying the farm. It's not a bad idea, doing what he really liked doing. I read somewhere, too, that kids used to chase him, and throw stones at him and everything. In his older age, they thought he was kind of a strange dude. But I went to his house in X, in his studio, and everything is pretty much the same as it was when he painted no more. They just left everything and left some of his still life objects. And it was great. I mean, it was just great going there. Okay, I'm going to fill in the rest of this thing, and we'll take it from there. Just keep going. See what happens. Just push the paint around. That doesn't belong there, but yeah, we'll leave it there. Invent color, invent things going on. Mix the color right on the canvas as you're painting. And let's see, here, and there, and everywhere. Okay. I just want to drop this head back here. It goes this way and then back. There's kind of a sharp angle there, but his head's too wide. I don't know. I'm getting hung up in that. I don't want to. So I can make those revisions later. I don't have much time, but kind of like his haircut. Jack Nicholson's, that is. And I'll get up here into his I think I told you about the class I used to go to over in the Copley Society. See, some of these stories I'm telling you now, I do demos at art groups and I end up telling the stories. And I figure I'm in trouble when people start lip-syncing me in the front row, Oh, you've heard this before. Nothing like that, Bill. No, never heard it. Of course not. And then they fall asleep. Okay, there's an overlap up here. Thing is trying to think and paint as fast as you can, and usually gives you the most interesting results. Let's see. All right, I'm going to get rid of, see, that's a strong diagonal. It picks up the purple here, this purple going through the face. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into it, get rid of it, create the cheekbone. Let's get Jack working. Let's get him working here. Who was he married to one time? That Angelica Houston or something? Yeah. For you movie buffs out there. Yes, okay. Break that down. Break this down. I just got to be careful of this space here. Bring this back even more. So I want that wide thing happening. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to do it by just, rather than relying on line to help me out of this, I'm just going to try pushing the paint around. See how that works. Now here's a screaming green that you don't see every day. It's kind of like Andy Warhol's socks. So, lime green. I got it only because I thought it would mix well with other colors, you know, and it does. It does kind of crazy things. You don't really know what's going to happen, and then put it up there, and there it is. And there it is. Okay. Now, all right. I don't know if we got much time, but I'll get this as far as I can with 2 shows. Okay. This here. And then there's this here. And then this all along here. And this. Okay. It's kind of a nice color you might want to try sometime. It's actually no colors. You can get it either, it's called unbleached titanium, or in this case it's called titanium buff. Kind of nice. It's a neutral gray. It's a little warm. Okay, I'll bring it over here. I'm seeing too much here. That's the problem. Again, there's a heck of a lot on this photo. A lot of color. So I made actually that's a good way to paint when you're using your reference and you get a smaller photo. Just bring it to a photocopy place and blow it up. And what happens is the colors change. They really do, drastically. You get some colors that you would never get ordinarily. Okay. You know, some of the colors go more poster, some of them go, okay, a little lighter than you expected. Okay, he has this thing down here, and then there's a roundness to his chin. And then there's this. All right. See what we can do. Well, tomorrow there's a painting thing at Adam's farm. Should be fun. I signed up for it, so I'm going to be there. And I'm sure by the time you see this, it'll be long gone. But J.T. Harding started this, and the group that's out of the East Walpole Library, they meet there and paint. They decided to have a paint out. I think it works. I think it worked pretty well last year. All right, come on, Jack. You got to come around for me. Anyway, I think they're expecting 35 to 40 painters, so that'll be a good trip. And here I'm going to use some earth orange, I'm going to go right into that red. Now that earth orange is more of a tinting color. Here, oh my God, it's time already. The hand of doom just came in with 3 minutes on there. And I've got so much I want to say. You know, I don't know. Hey, look, don't take sleeping pills. Watch my show. You won't need them. Okay, all right, here we go. See if I can just... This shows you how loose you should keep a painting throughout the process. A lot of painters, they just want to, beginner paintings, you know, they want to get the eyeballs in first and stuff like that. My suggestion is hold off. See, I can make all those adjustments and eventually this thing hopefully will come together. I got a couple more minutes, I think. So we'll just throw something up here. Yeah, we got 2. Okay, we got a couple minutes. Not enough to finish this thing, but enough to kind of make it fairly exciting. We'll throw this right in there. All right, this goes up here. Now there's a black that will go in here. Right here, yeah, there. And then this over here. Start balancing it now. I'll use some of that black there and then maybe paint back into it, okay. It goes up to about here. And I'm gonna bring that in there. There's a little more black up here. See what I can do in 1 minute. Yeah, we're down to the 1 minute mark. You know, a lot of demos that I've done, people clap at the end sometimes. Sometimes they throw rotten fruit, but when they clap, I think it's either they're glad it's over or they're trying to wake themselves up. I don't know. I was at a show once and this guy was demoing, and then one guy in the audience fell asleep, and he was all through, and everybody clapped, and this guy jumps up out of he's sound asleep, and he goes, "Wow!" He goes, "That looks just like a Da Vinci." And the whole place just kind of broke up. Anyway, this is Bill St. George. Thank you for joining me again for our impression show. Jack Nicholson with his green lips and is one tooth sticking out, okay? Go ahead, that'll drive people crazy that paint. Anyway, give it a try, give it a shot. Do a self-portrait, do something. Don't just sit there, keep painting. Whoops.